As you guys know, the Suns just traded for Chris Paul, and I want to use this video to go over what that means for the Suns offense and Devin Booker. To start, I think that this was a great trade for Phoenix because Booker is going to be playing with a level of space he is not used to. The guards that the Suns have been using, Rubio, Payne, and Carter, are all pretty bad shooters, and it makes it really hard for Booker to score, so that's what we're going to look at first. This play is a great example of that. Booker's going to get trapped off this pick and roll, taking the ball out of his hands because the Wizards can come off Cameron Payne in the strong side corner. Imagine if that's Chris Paul. The defense has to play completely differently, and I think that Booker's going to see a lot less double teams and traps off the pick and roll when Paul's in the game with him. Similar concept is going to happen on this play. As Booker comes off the pick and roll, he doesn't get deviled, but Rubio's defender and the strong side corner is able to completely come off of him and help on that Ayton roll. And if that's Chris Paul in the corner, it's a knockdown shooter, and it's just going to make this pick and roll much easier for Devin Booker. Look at this next play. Curry's going to cheat so much off Payne to here try to get Booker from catching the ball, and then once he comes off this screen, he's going to come all the way across the lane to help. So Booker's got to go through two help defenders off this screen. Just makes it really hard for him to score. Again here, Booker's going to have to go through three people off the pick and roll just because his second guard is not really a shooting threat and Curry can help off of him so much. It's just problems that Cp3 solves. Look how hard he's got to work just to get open. Gets a double off the screen, has to go to a triple move just to get some separation, and then gets doubled again. All five Washington defenders are looking at him. And it's incredible that he can score 25 plus points a game against defense like this. Another reason that having Chris Paul will be so nice for Booker is because when he draws two, Chris Paul will be able to attack the late closeouts. So here when he drives, imagine Chris Paul's catching that ball and attacking that closeout. It's going to be a bucket probably, but instead Booker has to come back and get another screen, and now he's looking straight at four defenders all looking at him. Look how open Payne is on the wing. And he still scores this, which is ridiculous. More of the same here. Booker's going to come off this screen from Saric, and Rubio's going to be in the strong side corner, and his man's just going to leave him and come stop the ball. It's just things that the defense will not be able to get away with when Chris Paul's on the court in that strong side corner or anywhere on the court in reality, because he's going to pick that defense apart when they're all looking at Booker like that. This is a set that the Suns love to use. In this situation, they're going to have Rubio sitting the back screen on Ayton's man. Sometimes it's Booker. But frankly, the Mavs don't really care. They're going to double Booker as he comes off the screen, make sure the ball gets out of his hand. Look how open they're leaving Rubio. Chris Paul attacking this type of closeout with this much space is going to pick apart defenses, and that's why I think this team is going to be really dangerous. More of the same here, just Booker having to face three defenders because the guard that he's playing with at the time isn't really a respectable shooter, and I think that these situations are going to be gone next season. This play is pretty funny because the person guarding Cameron Payne is not even looking at him. He's looking at Booker coming off a down screen. And it's just ridiculous that defenses are allowed to cheat like this on Booker. This type of action will be really hard to guard with Chris Paul. Handoff from Booker, and he has so much gravity that everyone ignores Rubio. And if that's Chris Paul with the ball, he's pulling up mid-range, basically automatic too. And if Chris Paul's in this corner where Rubio is, look at the pressure that's going to be on the defense. Booker is so good one-on-one that Kawhi not committing is an easy shot for him, even though it looks tough, and Chris Paul in the corner makes that an even harder decision. Even a basic pick and roll with Chris Paul is going to be really good because with Booker in the corner, it puts a ton of pressure on the weak side defender. He's supposed to tag that roll by Ayton, but he doesn't really want to leave Booker, rightfully so, and Chris Paul is going to pick that defense apart. This action is going to be really good for them, this guard-on-guard screen, because Booker's got great height, and he can post up a lot of these smaller point guards. And so that's going to force a lot of double teams here. You're going to see Rubio going to the corner. And if that's Chris Paul, and he gets the ball there with Porzingis switched out onto him in 10 seconds on the shot clock, he's going to feast in those type of situations. That's what he loves. And he's getting that for free just because of Booker. This is another example of that weak side defender getting put in an awkward position because Booker's a knockdown shooter and the roll from Ayton is dangerous, but I'm trusting Chris Paul to make that read a lot more often than Rubio. Chris Paul also allows Booker to play off the ball a lot more, especially down the stretch. And he has so much gravity that's really going to allow Chris Paul to pick apart the defense. That's just not something you can really trust Rubio with. This ball should have gone to the corner to Cam Johnson, but it didn't. and it's a turnover at a costly point in the game. Booker is really great off the ball. It's just not something he gets to do too much in Phoenix right now because of plays like this. His defender here is cheating that down screen, playing on top of him. He makes the right read, but Payne forces up a tough shot before really letting that play develop. It's just a mistake that Chris Paul is not going to make, and it's probably going to be a layup for Booker. This is the same set as before, except with Booker off the ball this time, and I think this is something they're going to go to a lot next season with Chris Paul as the ball handler, just because he's so good off the pick and roll, and Booker's a knockdown shooter. Ayton's getting better as a roller, and there's just so many threats the defense has to worry about, and with the ball in Chris Paul's hands, I'm trusting him to make the right decision. More good reads off the ball by Booker. Jackson tries to cheat the screen, he denies it, and then he runs into that same problem we talked about before of Rubio not really being a shooter, and Kawhi is able to completely help off of him and get a contest off what should have been an open shot. You're going to see Booker moving without the ball really well here, always finding the open spot, reading screens correctly, but he's got two Clippers looking at him pretty much every time he catches it. And the other thing about having Chris Paul is you get two guards who can make this pass to the weak side corner, which is really, really strong and makes it really hard for the defense to help. More Booker off ball, this time out of a set. And this pass here is something that Chris Paul can really help him work on and teach him how to perfectly execute. Which leads me to my last point, which is that Booker is great off the pick and roll, but he doesn't necessarily make the perfect pass all the time. For example, there should be a lob to Saric here. And Chris Paul is really going to teach him how to recognize that early and make sure he gets the pass off properly. Another example here, Ayton's going to be open on the roll without the tag from the weak side. And I think this is just the last step that Booker needs to take to turn into an all-NBA, even first-team all-NBA type of guy, and I think that Chris Paul's guidance can get him there.